So I really, really struggle with history. Um, Not in the sense of what you're thinking about, but it's just in the sense of like what people were thinking. And um, just sometimes the ruthlessness of our past in through the lens of how we see things today. Remember, I'm looking at the past as we understand things today. And I think about that a lot. We just went for a trip. We went for a family trip to um, the Netherlands and Belgium. And, thinking about the past. So, some of you might know this. My, my grandpa was, he liberated those two places. It was a really amazing experience. But then I think about, it's one thing to explain the psychology behind a few people, right? There's a few leaders that may be responsible for the atrocities um, that happened in that area. And, even the First World War, you can boil it down to a few generals and, prime ministers and kings. But I struggle with the fact that everybody collectively went along with that. And I know that there is, if you think of it, a population, and a population's going to have all sorts of people that are in it, right? That's what we call a distribution. There's all sorts of people in it. Some people that are very kind-hearted, some people that are not. Um, and so there's always people that, are the resistance, sort of fight the bad guys, quote unquote bad guys. But what amazes me, and I can't figure out, there's no explanation for it that is adequate, is how many normal, everyday, regular people went along with it. And fathom, I can't think about it. Like, even on any side, right? Like, even the ones that are oppressed, if you collectively uprose, you can overthrow a whole bunch of people with that are holding you down. But people didn't do that. And you can break it down into fear, right? And some people might say that everybody was just afraid. I don't think that tells the whole story. I think that there is and the only way that I can kind of explain it, but I still can't because it's just so, I can't, is that there is a gradual ratcheting up constantly where somebody moves the line and then they move the line again and then they move the line again and things just become acceptable that were not acceptable. And pretty soon you're doing things that you would never have thought that you'd be doing 5 years ago. And I think about that a lot in terms of current culture. Um, I think that a lot about, my own life, because there's lines that you cross. And the first time you cross them, you're like, oh, this is incredibly, like, I shouldn't be doing this, right? You have a sense of morality, and then it disappears after you've crossed it many, many times. And I think of that a lot about how do we develop a sense of social consciousness right? That's the definition behind a sociopath, is that there's a lack of social consciousness. Like people just don't understand the collective, and that there is moral right and wrong in the collective. And I think about that all the time, is how do we get people to believe that there is a collective moral law, a collective right and wrong. And then when they sense it and see it from leaders, whether that is whatever leader that's coming from politics or other areas of life, how do we deal with that? And how do we reconcile making sure that you're always pushing back towards what is right? And in my view, right is always about, things that are trying to make the world a better place, essentially, right? And I know that that is a rosy colored picture. I understand, but there are a lot of people that don't have that in their soul. And I can never recognize, I can't reconcile that in my head. I know to some degree, there's always a few people that never, right? We're all human. We all have different traits and differences, massive differences between us. But I can't fathom the collective. I can't comprehend it. I just don't see it. Because people they knew, and I can't see it. And I wonder about myself. What do I know that I'm allowing to happen around us? And that's where I struggle. That's all I can say. I can't understand history. And I think I can't understand history because I can't understand myself. What would I have done? And I don't think, it's a hard question. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.